The Venezuela national football team represents Venezuela in Men's International Association football and is controlled by the Venezuelan Football Federation, the governing body for football in Venezuela. It is nicknamed La Vinotinto because of the traditional burgundy color of the shirts. When playing at home in official games, they usually rotate between three stadiums: the Polideportivo Cachamay in Puerto Ordaz, the Estadio José Antonio Anzoátegui in Puerto La Cruz, and the Estadio Pueblo Nuevo in San Cristobal. In friendly matches, they tend to rotate between the rest of the stadiums in the country. The unofficial Football World Championships, and the related Nasatsi's baton title, was briefly held by Venezuela in 2006. Unlike other South American nations, and akin to some Caribbean nations, baseball is extremely popular in Venezuela, which diverts athletic talent away from football, contributing to its historic lack of success in CONMEBOL competitions. As of 2014, they are the only CONMEBOL side to have never qualified for the FIFA World Cup. Often Venezuela would go through entire qualification tournaments without recording a single win, although this has changed in the last two qualifying rounds. Until 2011, the best finish in the Copa America was fifth in the first entry. In 1967, it is only recently, with the spread of the World Cup's popularity in nations where football was not the primary sport, that the national team found incentives to increase player development and fan support. History. Backstory. Venezuela did not participate in FIFA World Cup qualification until the 1966 qualifiers, in which they were drawn with Uruguay and Peru, but failed to register a point in 4 games. In the 1970 qualifiers they managed to register a point, and after withdrawing from the 1974 series, repeated it in the 1978 qualifiers. The 1982 qualifiers saw them register the first win over Bolivia. They wouldn't register another World Cup qualifying win until the 1994 series, when they defeated Ecuador. A highlight of the 1998 qualifiers was goalkeeper Rafael Dudamel scoring against Argentina in a 5-2 defeat. Despite poor results during the 1960s and 1970s, outstanding players like Luis Mendoza and Rafael Santana achieved recognition. The team failed to qualify for both the 2002 and 2006 World Cups. The latter failure resulted in the resignation of manager Richard Paez. Secretario Farias era with new coach Secretario Farias. Venezuela national team improved their performances. At the beginning of 2010, during qualifying, Venezuela won its first game in World Cup qualifying against the long unbeaten Ecuador in Quito. Something similar happened to Bolivia in La Paz, where Venezuela won for the first time at Bolivian altitude. Also, they received the first point against Brazil in qualifying. Despite not ultimately reaching the 2010, Venezuela achieved the best result in qualifying. They finished this round with 22 points in 18 matches, surpassing Peru and Bolivia for 8th place in the region. On the 6th of June 2008, Venezuela achieved the second ever triumph over Brazil, defeating the Selecao 2-0 in a friendly match in Boston, United States. Venezuela obtained excellent results in the 2011 Copa America when they finished 4th, the highest finish in the tournament to date. With a squad composed mostly of players playing in Europe, they began 2014 FIFA World Cup qualification with a historic result against Argentina in Puerto La Cruz, beating the Argentines for the first time. Noel San Vicente era. On the 4th of September 2014, Noel San Vicente was made coach of the Venezuela national team. On 5 September 2014, the team lost its first match with San Vicente under the helm 3-1 against South Korea in Busan. San Vicente's first tournament came in the 2015 Copa America, with Venezuela drawn in Group C of the competition. Their opening game finished with an upset victory over tournament favorites Colombia by 1-0, but subsequent defeats to Peru and Brazil saw Vinotinto eliminated. Venezuela began the World Cup qualification campaign with a 1-0 defeat against Paraguay at home, and would not earn the first point until the match against Peru, a 2-2 draw in Lima where Venezuela led until the last minute of stoppage time. The match with Chile ended in a disappointing 4-1 defeat. San Vicente announced his resignation a week later after mutual consent with the FVF. At the time of San Vicente's departure, Venezuela was last in the qualification standings with a sole point. Rafael Dudamel era. San Vicente was replaced by Rafael Dudamel. Under his coaching, Vinotinto quickly improved and reached the quarterfinals in the Copa America Centenario, with 2-1 wins over Jamaica and Uruguay and a 1-1 draw against Mexico in the group stage, and then a 4-1 defeat to Argentina in the quarterfinals. In the seventh matchday of the 2018 World Cup qualifier, Venezuela lost to Colombia 2-0 in Barranquilla, the first loss against Los Cafeteros since 2009. Copa America history. Venezuela first participated in the Copa America in 1967, and finished fifth after defeating Bolivia 3-0 with a side containing Mendoza and Santana. The 1975 tournament saw Venezuela drawn in a group with Brazil and Argentina, and finished bottom with an 11-0 defeat to Argentina. In the 1979 edition, which would be the international swan song for Mendoza and Santana, they drew 0-0 with Colombia and 1-1 with Chile. A highlight of the 1989 tournament was midfielder Carlos Maldonado's 4 goals. In the 1993 series, Venezuela drew with Uruguay and the United States. The team's overall Copa America record has been relatively poor, but the José Vinotinto period in the early 2000s brought increased attention to the sport in the country, which in turn brought increased support from both government and private institutions. Said support contributed greatly to the Vinotinto's rise in quality. In 2007, during the Copa America held in Venezuela, the team progressed to the quarterfinals for the first time in its history after finishing first in a group containing Peru, Bolivia and Uruguay. Venezuela's 2-0 victory over Peru during the competition was its first Copa America victory since 1967. 2011 Copa America. At the 2011 Copa America Championship, Venezuela reached the semi-finals round for the first time by defeating Chile in the quarter-final, 2-1. Despite the commanding presence against Paraguay in the semi-final, Venezuela were unable to convert the chances into goals. They would eventually lose 5-3 to Paraguay in a penalty shootout after remaining scoreless in normal and extra time. Venezuela and Peru played for third place at the Estadio José de La Plata, where Venezuela would suffer the biggest loss of the tournament, losing 4-1 to Peru and falling into fourth place overall. Nonetheless, it was the best ever finish at the competition. Group B. Results, historical kits, current status, recent and forthcoming matches from the past 12 months as well as any future scheduled matches. 2018 FIFA World Cup qualification standings. Players. Current squad. The following 28 players were called up for the 2018 FIFA World Cup qualification games against Colombia and Argentina. Caps and goals are correct as of September 1, 2016, after the game against Colombia. Recent call-ups. The following players have been called up for the team in the last 12 months. Records. Most caps. Blue highlights denotes active players. Top scorers. Blue highlights denotes active players. Competitive record.